Today is Tes Zion Iyar. We're doing Hemshech Samech Tes, and starting a new mimer, Divrei Maskil, Ushaptim Mayim B'Sasing.
Rabbi, it's not a problem to be listening to the music from next door?
It's something that you have no control over. Then if you want, you can put something in your ears. You're not allowed to play music, because the Poshet, it's days of Pinigla. This is the days that all the Talmudim of Rabbi Akiva passed away. From the Zman Berach of Akrovas Ha'imah, difference of opinion as to when it actually began, what day, and until Berach Lag B'Imah, that's when they stopped passing away. So there's in the morning for someone, it was something like over 20,000 Talmidei Chachomim passed away. It was a terrible Magaifa, unbelievable. That's in Nigla. But Al-Pi Pnimius, the days of the Yom HaBaklal are a time for Din. There's a from the Seres Din Bois Nayom. And therefore there's a from Sphira, we learned the other night, Sphiras from Ocean Bahiras. We have to light up through the Tikkun Hamidas, Milmata Lamaila, then we're Mamtik Tetinim, Alidam Shochis, Veros Elyonim, Musayomim. Therefore, B'Pnimi saying it's a not to do anything, which is Mesameach. Therefore, there's no chasnas or things of that nature. Only a bar mitzvah. But then you have to be careful not to overdo the simcha aspect of it. You follow?
And play recorded music. Play music from a tape recorder.
No, you also can't do it. No. It's after like Weimar, there are some people. It's proper not to be making until at least Rosh Chodesh Sivan. After Rosh Chodesh Sivan, in the latter years, it appears that the Rebbe was made to be more maker of a door. That's the in like Baima is written more foolish. It's even brought down up Nigla. There are more printed in Shulchan Aruch. It's mutter to be marba b'simcha b'isahiyom. And up the Zohar Kodesh, the Rashbi gave a foolish tzivui that he wanted people should be mesameach b'yom zeh b'yom ha'istalkus. But that's a very unusual inyan. There's got a big beer and says why that can be on a day of ha'istalkus. A great person should be such an unbelievable simcha. But there's beer in Siddur Alfis there. And therefore it's mutter to be marbe simcha. You feel the music in those 24 hours of Lag B'Imah. B'Shari Hayomim, it's written. Im Kain is a hymn from the Vedas Hashem. It's a singer of Chassidische Nigmen by a verbringen das ja. Aber Stamm spielen auf Instruments, okay, Stamm singen and schreien and tun, that's forbidden. Alright, so we go down to the Inen of Dr. Inen from Simcha, we go down to Shabta Mayim B'Sasing. Mani, are you sure? That was a Inen from Simcha Gedel of Atzuma Ad Me'ed. Isa Yerushalmi Shahoyu Sho'evim Misham Ruach HaKodesh. We will just go over what we said the other night. That Sho'eva means to draw, or to Yiddish sheppen, to draw out something. So it's written that the Yerushalmi brings that they used to draw with the water Ruach HaKodesh. So we need to understand more about protis. What do we mean by when we say Ruach HaKodesh? What is the beer? What does that mean, Ruach HaKodesh? So we'll see by Hemshech HaMaimah, we go into it in more detail. But suffice it to say that it means a Holy Spirit, Ruach HaKodesh, in of illumination in the life of a human being, whereby he has literally a spirit of very high kedusha, is mayor in his life, and that elevates him to another madriga where he feels and sees inyonim which are not in the normal hagabolas of the koiches and the kelim of Adam. And then there's another madriga called Navua, which is also in the same general pattern. And the question is, which is higher? Maybe Ruach HaKodesh got a mile of Navua, and maybe Navua has a mile of Ruach HaKodesh, so that we'll see as we go along. Why was it that Dafka, when they drew water from the Mayon HaShiluach, as it's called, the famous spring that there was down at the side of the Beis Hamikdash in the Mayon down there where they drew the water? You can go down there today, but they assume that was the same. You can visit, probably some of you have already visited. That was called the Maya Shiluach. There they drew the water. So why was it that Dafki, with the drawing of the water for the Nisul Chamayim, for pouring water on the Mizbeach, did they gain this Madrega of Ruach HaKodesh? You have a Loiba Nisul Chayayin Shahoya Kola Ashona. The whole year they used to pour wine on the Mizbeach. And it's well known that they used to pour the wine into these two big nostrils that were on the Mizbeach, and they were called the Shittim. And the wine used to go down through these things and be used to go down under the Mizbeach. And then according to the Gemara in there in Masechta Sukkah and in other places, the water eventually went down into the Tahoim, that these sort of pipes that were connected with these sort of large nostrils on the Mizbeach, they went all the way down into the Tahoim. So they used to pour the yain there, Kol Hashana, with the Korban Tomid and other korbanos. There were these, what's it called, Nesochim, the pouring of wine in certain quantities. Wasn't a place to go into the whole arichas, but that was a continuous thing. So why was it that this unbelievable gift, Maila of the Ruach HaKodesh, that's moving that it was a matonim or Maila? It's very difficult for Adam. I feel when he's in the highest union of his service to the Eivish, that he should just all of a sudden have Ruach HaKodesh. He said, why was it they was Echet Dafka when they drew water, and there was just at this time of the year in Chol HaMoed Sukkot, there was Dafka the scene of pouring water instead of wine onto the Mizbeach, and that was called Nisul Chamayim. Gam Tzadik Lahovin, Mashakosu Hu Shapte Mayim B'Sosein, that the union of that She'iva had to be precisely with a great simcha. The haloi inyan sosein v'asimcho shayach b'yayin. That would have been much more shayach to be a special tzivui to be b'simcha dafke b'inyan hayayin, dafke when they were pouring yayin. Ki yayin is well known. The Samech Tes v'anoshim is well known. It's brought down in the psukim. Kama psukim in Mishlei v'eit mekaim is that wine has the ability to bring to simcha. And particularly according to this pasuk is Mesameach Elikim ve'anoshim. What Elikim is referring to in Parsha, the simple title is referring to the Eibishter, and Anoshim means people. But many of the Meforshim titles, the Elikim is referring to Malachim, as well known. Sometimes the Malachim are called Elikim. That gives a simcha b'chol nivroim v'chama. I call them madregas, but also moving that not the Avish and not Malachim drink wine. But by the day, what there's a Yisraelis of Simcha Lamata, which comes from the wine, well, that causes a Simcha b'kol madregas gam lamayla. Avu b'mayim, but water ain't no shayach Simcha l'choira. V'lo maner makan u'shaptem mayim b'sosa, in the dafke, the drawing of the water had to be dafke b'sosain. It's well known that the word sosain, the Alter Rebbe Titus in L'Kutei Torah, in several places, that the word sosain refers to a simcha pnimiyas. The word simcha means a simcha begolu, a normal simcha where a man shows his rejoicing begolui, but that's through the movement of his body and through the dancing. However, the infant sosain is more like the pnimiyas and the atzmiyas. The Simcha, what that leads to, and brings to a union of Pu'ula B'Filu B'Gufa, Filu the union from Simcha B'Gufa Chitzayni. And therefore, he says the Rebbe, it's not understandable how can both Sosin and eventually Simchas Beis HaShoeva it was called, come inside water. Water is a thing that is very posh, it doesn't have any taste, and when you drink water it may quench the thirst, but it doesn't have any particular enlivening effect on the odom like wine. When we see wine has the ability to be Mesameach Anoshim and Afila Elokim, as we saw, and that's because wine has gotten itself a certain union. What they take the mensch and they, as you might say, elevate him, or on a more simple level, they shockle him and somewhat enliven him into a state of simcha. And the Father says it's not understandable why Davki in the Inif and Mayim was this great simcha. So you might say, well, it was a bit of, it was a happy moment. It had a positive time. But it was a very tremendous and great simcha. The Hasidim v'Anshe Ma'aser, that the Hoyu Meraktim Lifneihem Ba'avukesh Shel Iyar. Now the Hasidim v'Anshe Ma'aser, that's an expression in the Mishnah over there in Masech Tes in Perik Hay. But it's well known that Hasidim means people that they do everything Behida, Lifnim Mishul Sadin, more than what's really demanded of them. And the Anshe Ma'aser means people that they bring everything into action and into deed. They don't just learn in only, but they bring them down into deed, and therefore they're called Anshe Ma'aser. But the word, the term Anshe Ma'aser means Davki learned people that they know, the Inyonim. But we make and Davki, they're able to bring them into Shleimus HaMa'aser. What it means is the big, what you might call the big Rabbonim, and the big leaders and Rosh Yeshivas and other people that were like the spiritual leaders of the community, or they were the ones who Meraktim Lifneihem, they used to dance in front of them. So ask yourself the question, in front of them, who is that? Here's Meraktim Lifneihem. The Father, Tesos Yontef, and others over there are Mavaye in the Mishnah, that Beklal, the Simcha's Beis HaShoeva was a tremendous Simcha. And it was, like he's going to bring in a second, that if you never saw that Simcha, then you never know what Simcha is all your life. You haven't seen Simcha's Beis HaShoeva. But for them, it was an unbelievable union of Gilei HaSimcha. However, the actual participation in the Simcha was only by the Gedolei Ha'am, only by the Manhigei Ha'am and the Gedolei Ha'am, the people that were the emissary leaders, the people, the Hasidim and the Anshe Ma'aser and the, what you might call the learned Yidden, the Talmidei Chachomim, Mamul Fokim. Well, they were the ones who did all the actual Simcha of all the rest of the people came to see, they came to watch, and to be impressed and to listen and to take part of the actual burning activity at a simcha was only in the hands of what you might call a chosen few of the people. Therefore, it's written that these Chassidim, Anshe Ma'aser, they were Meraktim Lifneihem, and according to those Meforshim, it's only the Lifneihem means the people who came to watch. All the people that gathered in the Azorah, well, they were like observers, and Lifneihem means that they dance in front of all those people. But for now, when it comes to the emissary union of Simcha, that should always be in the hands of Talmidei Chachomim. You can't leave up to all sorts of people as a reason that was the Pnimis for the union, V'mahu Achlish called over to run Na'ini from Simcha ad l'Tachlisai. There always has to be, and therefore the Rambam also is Marich, and if you look it up in the Hilchos Sukkah, the Rambam writes a whole arichas of the Simcha's Beis HaShoeva, was Davki in the hands of the Rosh Yeshiva and the Talmidei Chachomim and V'chulu, and Davki they were the ones who were Mefakeach at the Inyan of Simcha. And like it's brought down the Halacha, it's also brought down by the Rambam in Hilchos Yontiv, in the Alter Rebbe. Also mentions at the end of Hilchos Chol HaMoed that in the Zman Yomim Tovim there used to be special representatives of the Bezdin that they used to go around, and they used to make sure that the Inyan HaSimcha shouldn't get out of hand, and all the Inyan HaSimcha, there should be an oven that was proper al pi Torah. We shouldn't get into Inyan and Yishtoileres and improper language. Is the far there was a special, what you might call, emphasis on the dugmois chayes of the Anshi Maisa. And so therefore he says, Maraktim lifneim ba'avuga shel oyer, with torches of fire. And like it's brought over there in the Mishnah that they used to juggle them. They used to Maraktim either be arba or even fill there's a gilsa in the Mishnah fill be shmoina, that they used to, one person would hold four and they would juggle the torches. You know, you've ever seen these guys do it? But there were some of the great chachomim that they knew that trick. Or they used to throw them one to there. They used to go around in circles and tossing them one to the other. And there's a whole beer from the Rebbe Nishma Seiden. There's a whole beer in the Mishnah in the Hemshech of Eter. In the Maimon it begins with that lashon of the Mishnah, sitting van Shimaisa Hoyu Marachtim, and his masbel why 4 and why 8. That was a ganze beer in Tzidus al Pizeh. However, from that we see that it was a tremendous inyan of Simcha. And somebody who didn't see this Simcha, then he's never seen Simcha from when he was born. He's never seen B'klal in his life, the inyan from Simcha. Now that's written at the beginning, that's written right at the beginning of the Perek Chamishi. It doesn't come by hemshech to that lashon. That's like written at the beginning, and then later the Mishnah describes how the Chassidim Anshi Maisa used to dance. However, we see that it was an unbelievable simcha. So therefore, we can't possibly say that the inyan of the simcha, being as it was in water, was a sort of measured simcha, and it wasn't such an unusual inyan. However, so the pink fakir, we see that Davke B'Shivas Mayim, there was this unbelievable simcha that was mamish, unlimited, that if a mensch wasn't zeiche to see that, then he doesn't have any musik, what's the inyan of simcha. But Charik Lahovin, Ma'u inyan of simcha hazais. We need to understand what is the teichen of this simcha. V'lo mahoyo b'nisuch hamayim. Yeah, Besukis Davke. Why was it the B'nisuch hamayim? And why was it Davke in the Chag HaSukkos Loi B'shari Ha Moyadim, not in the other Yom Tovim, but the year of Davke B'Sukkos. So from that it comes out that there's a shaykhis, that is unbelievable simcha, and it's called Sha'iva, inyan for drawing and shaping. The inyan HaSimcha Davke B'Mayim, and Davke B'Nisuch HaMayim Al Gabi HaMizbeach, and Davke in the inyan for Simcha, Davke in the inyan for Chag HaSukkos, but not B'Shari HaYomim Tovim. Well, Lahovin Kol Zeh, Chorik Lahaktim, Tchila Mashen is Boil Liyu, B'inyan Das, Elim V'Das, Tachtei. We saw that Das Tachtei, who B'chinas HaOres, HaMalchus, HaMeya B'Iyar. It was the inyan from the HaOres HaMalchus, which was Meir B'Iyar. We saw that was Malchus Tatzilas. It came down through the inyan of the Parsa, Bein Atzilas L'B'Iyar, and it became a which was shy to the inyan of Nevroim the B'Iyar. So we say that in that the beetle of that Klape, the inyan from Lamailami B'Shorshay, and even Lamailami Shorshay, well, that's a beetle Hayesh Bilvad, even mitzad the Etzem Gilui HaOyer itself. it was a bittul of bittul hayesh, but das elyon hu bi atzilas. What that's in Elakus mamish, the Iyar v'chayei echad v'Iyar gamoy echad. So we saw that in Atzilas, that the Oiris, the Atzilas are one with Ihu meaning the Eibishter, and also the Kelim, even the Kelim of Atzilas, Abetachlas HaYichud with Elakus. It's just that it's two different madregas. The bittul of the Oiris is a bittul gomer, a bittul naili yisa, and the Kelim is more in and of a dover masuyon, how it's botel, but nonetheless, we see that all of them, Sham, Bepinas Kula, Kamei, Kalecha, I'm sorry, the bittul Sham, the bittul in Olam Atzilas is in and of a Kula, Kamei, Kalecha, Shive, a bittul b'Matthias, and the whole Hagosha is that there's no Matthias Klau, only Elakus. He is the Yeshua, Amiti, and everything else has no Matthias. But that's the day of Das Elyon. So that's what we saw up to now, very briefly in the previous memory. Omno, however, Hine Yadua Datzilas Hu Memutza Al Koponim Bein Oirein Seif HaMa'atzil El HaNivroim. In other words, what's the bitter Al Koponim that we've Kilo said that the Indian of Atzilas is Mamish Elakus, and that's bottle Petachas Abitul in Etzem Elakus. Therefore, it's Lamaila Yesh Lamata Ayin. How do you say? It's Kula Kamei Kalecha Chashivei. So he said that Lachera. How does that fit in with what we know that at least Al Chaponim Atzilas is a Mamutza, middle point or go between point, Bein Oirein Seif HaMa'atzil El HaNivroim. It's well known that Atzilas is like a middle point between the Eivishter, how he's Mamish Oirein Seif, how he's Mamish Lamaila, for many Indian of how do you call it, Hagbolets Klau. And the Indian of Nivroim is the from Dvorim Shedisavu, Yeshmi, Ayin de Mamish Yesh, and they have all the Hagbolas of the year. So he said it's well known that at least Atzilas is a mamuta between Oirein Seif El HaNivroim. Ukamaima Antu da Pikas Asa Tikunin. We said this on Friday afternoon in the Posik Aliyahu. It's written over there that Antu, you are he da Pikas that you brought out, that you were moitzil, that you brought out, Esa Tikunin, it's well known. And there's a whole beer that says why that is, but not the place to get involved in it here, that the Zoya Kodesh and the Tikkun Zoya, or they often refer to the Esesphiris as Tikkunim, literally ornaments. Yeah, that you brought out literally 10 ornaments or spheres, and the purpose in that was Lianhoga Bohin Almin, in order that through them, Bohin, through them you should be able to conduct the worlds. You should be able to run the worlds and conduct the worlds. So from that we see that the Esa Spheres, the Esa Tikkunim of Atzilas were brought out by the Eibishter, that through them he should be able to run the in and of the Oilamus, and Oilamus means Oilamus Bi'ah, Bria Yetzirah V'ah. See, as he brings over there clearly in there, Shechadal L'Sheinas in the Pasach Eliyahu. So that's what we see as the Lashon Al Koponim, that at least we see that albeit Atzilas, Emes Atzilas is Mamish Elakus, and it's Iyar v'chayei echad v'gamei echad, and it's Mamish Bottle, Betachas Abitul, Kula Kamei, Kalecha Shiva, it's Mamish bottle in the Yesha Amiti, and we said that Olam is Nivroim Ein Areichel Al Zeh Klalu Klau. However, how does that fit in with the fact that we do say that Atzilas is at least a mamutza? And as he brings the Lashon, that it's used, it's like a medium through which the Eibishter runs the Oilamas Hanivroim. Bria Yetzirah V'ah. See, so that's moving that if something is a mamutza and something is a medium for which you run, another inyan, then there must be some kesher or some nearness and some ultimate shaykhs between or that inyan which you use to run the inyanim and the inyanim. And the very fact that we say that it's able to be a mamutza, that means that it must have some sort of a kesher. And you might say, well, that's maybe only one aspect of the mamutza. Of an extra year, the inyan of a mamutza implies that becomes a middle point. It must have a shayk to the lower point. Otherwise, it can't be a mamutza. And as well known, that the inyan of the mamutza has got itself two aspects. One is how it's shayk to the elyon, to the mashpia, and the other is it's shayk to the makabel. So the mamutza has to have in itself two inyanim. It's kilu kolu mishnei tzadim, and so one tzad has to be at least shayk to the makabel. Otherwise, it can't be a mamutza. And the very fact that you say that it is a mamutza, then that means even in the makabel himself, even in the mashpia himself, in the elyon, the tzad elyon, he's making an effort to come down to the tachtin. It's just that in order to do so, he has to use the inyan of a mamutza, which means that even in him, even in the tzad elyon, in the mamutza, there's already a certain recognition and a certain shaykhs to the inyan of the tachtin. Well, that tends to indicate that even though al koponim, even though Atzilus is takamurdu mebia, and it's in for das elyon and not das tachtin, but there seems to be, due to the fact that it's a mamutza, then there seems to be some sort of a shaykhs and a kesher. That's the beginning of the kasha, and we're going to see now, we go along, we find more details in the whole shaila as we progress. He said, Dehine Savas Nivroim, or the etzem creation of the Nivroim in Olam as Biyah, who mi'atz Meseir ain't safe davke. It's well known that that's davke from the very essence of the Eibush to him. So, in other words, we know that who can create Yesh mi ayin only mi'atz Meseir safe. And come over in the famous Igeras HaKodesh where the Alter Rebbe says, Hu levadei b'koichoi v'yecheltei lahavis es hayesh me'ayin v'efesa amuklat. In other words, the ability to create the yesh min ha'ayin, that's only in the koich ha'atzmi of atzmasein ain't safe. Amamire, the etzem bringing of a yesh me'ayin v'efesa amuklat, that's him himself. Well, that's mamish the koich ha'atzmas. V'zeo kavona, שמושרש פאר אין סי ברוך הוא, שיהיה סבס הנברואים דביעה דווקא. And that's what we find, that there's a certain kavana in mamish ain't safe, in the very essence of the Eibishter, that should be the inyan for nivroim dbiya davke. Where is that kavana davke in atzmus ain't safe, not in any other madrega, or the kavana to bring about the worlds, and there should be the inyan for dira lo yizbara b'taktoinim. Well, that was davke when it was a taktoinim, she'ain taktoinim lamata himeno, as he brings in Perek Lamed Vav. Or that was davke mushish in atzmus ain't safe. Why Dafki Atzmas ain't safe? Because Dafki Atzmas ain't safe. He is the koyach and the one who, and he has the omnipotence to bring about that Yisavit. Therefore, the secret to the whole Indian of the Yisavit is Dafki Atzmusi is brought because the koyach of that Yisavit comes from Atzmusi is brought. ובכדי שיהיה סבס נברואים בעלי גבול מאין סעיף הבלתי בעל גבול שבביאה ובכדי שיהיה סבס נברואים בעל גבול מאין סעיף הבלתי בעל גבול שבאין הרי כלל, it's well known that Atzmas ain't safe. He is bilti bal gvul. He's completely and utterly beyond any aspect of gvul. And the union of the Nevroim, their whole union is, like we saw in Tanya recently, we've been learning in Samech Tes, we see that the Nevroim and the Olamas are dafki Baalei Gvul, they're dafki possessors, and they're made up of inyonim of Gvul in their very essence. So how are you going to get from the Eibishter, who is Mamish Biltig Gvul, what he's Ein Arei Klau, to the union from Gvul? How are you going to get the union of Aisavas? So he said, Zehu alidei emtsoyes ha'esa spirit de'ah. He said it's well known that is through the middle point of the esa spirit of that kilu bein atzmasein seif, what he brought about the union of the etzem yisavis, and dafki in him is the whole kavanah and the whole secret of why that is happening. That dafki mitzidoi, in order there should be the union of Baalei Gvul, there should be all the nivroim, but there and even from Gvul, then you have to have in the middle of mamutza. So that mamutza, or that's the union of olam ha-tzilah.
You wanted to go remind the class at this time?
Yes, maybe a good idea. Yeah, you're right. Would you go and just tell them over there in the class?
What time do you want them to come here?
They should start coming at 1:15. By the time they walk all the way over, then it'll be 20 past already. Okay.
Didn't we learn in Samech Tes this mutz takes place in community Saturday?
Yeah, we learned the whole in about the Maturgamai.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to mention that in a second now. Yeah, we're going to mention Maturgamai just briefly, not paralegal like we had over there. Yeah, very nice. But there we touch on another kasha that it's very hard to say that the mumutza is really the mumutza. That's what you're referring to? We can't deal with too many things at one go. But in the classical beer, we have a mamutza. Although he makes the point that even the mamutza is not really a mamutza, there must be something in the middle which joins all the aspects of the mamutza together. But that's just why by and Bays he talks about that chapter after chapter, the whole big riches over there. But for our purposes, we've got enough in our hands. And so therefore, he said, a big day, Savas Nivroim Baalei Gvul, שמאיר נצא גם בלתי ברור שבאין הרי כלל, זהו על ידי אמצויס האס הספירת דעה. הגם דסבס האילמס מאיר אין צייף, הוא בדרך אין ערך. ואם כן, מה צריכים למה? This is like now a sub-question. Since we're saying that ultimately the whole inyan of Yesh Me'ayin is itself Ein Arei, the etzem way that the Yisavos functions. In other words, it's not just that Iyar ain't safe and Iyar must be Ein Arei one to the other, but the etzem way that he makes it is also Ein Arei. In other words, that it's like brought down in the Sefer Ikrim that the Yisavos Yesh Me'ayin is B'cheika Boiri. Only the Eibush himself can do that. It's not check any other entity could possibly bring about Yesh Me'ayin. And Melkum is that the Etzem Yisavos itself is Ba'ein HaRoich. V'im kein ma tzrichim l'mamutza. What is going to help you a mamutza? Or why would you even say that you need a mamutza? A mamutza is where you got a certain kiruv and a certain error between two inyanim. It's just that we say that relatively speaking, they're Ein Arei. One is too beyond to give ashpa pnimiyah to the other. Over where we're talking about Atzmas Eitzei, and he's Mahav b'derech Ein Arei, Mamish b'derech Yesh Me'ayin, and even from Ein Arei. What does he need mamutza? What you might call the whole trick of the whole meaning is that it goes dafki and even from Ein Arei. Not only that, what is what do you need a mamutza for? Almost a question can be said of what ma'charif mamutza. What is a chayef b'klal? How could you possibly apply the inyan of a mamutza? The inyan of mamutza b'pchinas hamshocha pnimiyah. The whole inyan of a mamutza, where you got ein hanami levels which are ein areit one to the other. Of it's sof, it's all ein areit in madrigas which are sof pnimiyah. They all have some ultimate hamshocha one to the other. Just to say that it's ein areit. But sof it's all even from pnimiyah. Ukemoi v'mashpia umikabel. If we take a Rav and a Talmud. De'er HaShefer shall mashpia, hari hu bo b'chidusay pnimi alame kabel. In other words, at Emes, the mashpia is higher than the Makabel. And to a certain extent, he's a Narech higher than his Talmud. Obviously, of course, the Kavana is that he's got to reach the Talmud and give him over the Ashpah. So therefore he said, so of course what happens is that it must enter the Makabel Be'er Pnimi. V'kasher HaMashpiyah hu l'mayla me'aMakabel as tzorich liya, and that l'mayla is in an eifem von korif l'ein arei. Tzorich liya is mamutza bein eihem. U'kamei ha'maturgeman. U'kamei shekosu b'mokim acher. And so this is the famous dogma which is brought in the Gemara. In many places there was a maturgeman between the Chachomim, particularly at the Kalo when they used to come up with Ribuyam. The Chachomim used to come to a certain city that had been agreed on earlier in the Chol HaMoed of certain other Moedim and so on. And there used to be this tremendous hashpah of Torah and halacha and all sorts of binyanim to the people. So the people were very simple people and they couldn't understand what the Chachamim were saying, particularly when they gave it over, the Lashon Kodesh and the Lashon of the Mishnah and other binyanim was hard for them to understand. And therefore they used to have a mamutza. He was called a maturgeman. So he was. I think it's over there in the other library. Maybe got you wrong, I don't know. Was he there when you went over there? Yeah, I guess he just got it wrong. So we see that the Inyan of the Maturgeman, he, on the one hand, has to be caught of a Rav, because he's got to be able to take the Seichel of the Rav and absorb it, and then he's got to absorb it in such a way that he'll be able to give it over to the Makablim. And remember, he's got to be able to appreciate the Seichel of the Rav. But if he was mamish on the same madrega as the Rav, mamish b'shover, then he would have the same problem as the Rav has. He wouldn't be able to get it over to the simple people because he would be ein arayah. And therefore we have to say that the Maturgeman is korev ma'id el Seichel Harav, or he's not mamish the Seichel Harav, because if he were, then he wouldn't be able to get it over. But since he's korev el Seichel Harav, over either he's not mamish Seichel Harav, therefore he's able, as it were, bring it down, and give it over in such a way, in other words, that he's got himself two aspects, this Maturgeman. On the one hand, he's b'ma'at el Seichel Harav, yoter b'ma'at, he's maybe be'erat day el Seichel Harav. Mitzad Sheni, he's got himself a kishorein and an ability to make himself also equal to the people. It's therefore inside him, he takes, as it were, and stirs over what he got from the Rav, and he brings it out into a much more simple statement that it'll be able to be understood by the So we see he's got himself these two levels. On the one hand, he has to be korev el Rav, otherwise he'll just give over something that he'll just be mavalbel everybody. He has to be korev el Rav. Mitzad Sheni, he has to have the ability to come down and be korev to the people. So he's a brilliant individual, the Maturgeman. He's not just stamp, but he doesn't have the same reimers as the Rav. So that's the inyan of a Maturgeman, and so he's like Kilu, two madregas, or kolo mishnei madregas, and that brings it down into the minds and the appreciation of the Poshet people. V'keinu v'kol ha'mamutzoim, to say the hishtalshelas. So it is the Rebbe in all the mamutzoim that you have in all the hamshocha of both within each oilam, and then how that oilam is nimshach and yored lamatu to the oilam as mitachet la oilam hazeh ahu. He said that there's these different mamutzoim who shall yodom or shall idei hamamutza nimshach ha'oyer b'prinas pnimiut. That the whole inyan is that the oyer goes down and is actually mislabish in kelim of the madrega shemitachet lazeh. Pink tezei, where all the people at the kalo or at the drosha, they actually understand something. They get from the Maturgeman, bitada atacht and shaboy, they get something which enters their minds, and they're able to go away and say that they learnt that in, they know this halacha, and that was the whole purpose. It comes to that ultimately the inyan of a mamutza is to bring a thing from one level to a lower level, but even that's a hashpua. It's not just a inyan makif that is kilu shoyre lamaila and has no achas penimi, or on the contrary, it's dafke in van a slapses penimi. Aber is es bin in a savas made a tzeiporach, or the etzem is savas from the very essence of the Eibishter into the yesh mi'ayin. She'ein ze b'chinas oyer v'chayas pnimi. He said this is not a inyan of the oyer v'chayas pnimi. It's a inyan we'll see of atzmi and makif legamrei. Yeah, what if it were a inyan of a chayas pinimi, mashetrihim lazeh mamutza? For that you would need takia a mamutza. Dare sof aisavas ubchinas ein aroik davke. In other words, ultimately speaking, do you have to say that the etzem coming of yesh mi'ayin, the etzem coming into being, yeah, of all the nivroim, legabi atzma sein tzeiv, is a in van eina roich. As if it's eina roich, then what do you need a mamutza? In other words, in the two burin that we gave, what do you need? What is it really gonna be poil? A mamutza. And that's the main shaila that we have here, and that's what you look. It's interesting. Everything is bashkacha prati. Is tafki. We're learning it in the chitas lately. Perik mem, perik mem ches, and on Lag B'Ima we start learning perik mem tes. So I know that Berov Shonim, a perik mem tes comes out in on Lag B'Ima. Some people Lag B'Ima. So if you look carefully over there, you'll be able to find what is the Remez Niflo to the Oinif and Lag B'Ima, if you happen to have learned anything about it. And even if you didn't learn anything about it, maybe what your Koyach HaRegesh or your Koyach HaTiyah can teach you. But in Perik Mem Ches, we have this whole beyond the Madreg of Seivu Kol, the whole Inyan of Seivu Kol Almin. And so there the Alter Rebbe is Mavaya, that the Inyan of Seivu Kol Almin, albeit it's a inyan from mashpia to the Eilemes. And as he says right at the end, on the very last line of Perik Mem Ches, the Alter Rebbe says that is the Ike Hisavas Yeshmi Me'ayin, and the Ike coming into being of all the Eilemes is really from the Ora Seivu Kol Almi. And therefore he's must be during the Perik that the Ashpoah, what sort of Ashpoah? He's Ashpoah Yeshmi Seivu Kol. That's what he means, that the Etzem coming into being, and the Etzem bringing into being the Metzias of the Eilemes per se, well, that's from the Ora, so even that's in an Eifen Aroich. Therefore they don't feel the Ora Seivu, nothing is Kilo Nimshuk for him, but Pnimis me Ora Aseiv of Lochera, Begolui, Rahim Kain, it's whole in it. And that's what he brings out over there in that Perik Mem Ches. But the Alter brings out the difference between what he calls Hisavas and Chayas. That even if his Savas, that's even Yesh Me'ayin B'Davki B'Derecha Aseiv of the even Chayas. But that's what he writes at the bottom of the next Omer over there. The even Yislapshas B'Hal Bosha, or the Chayas Pnimius is Nimshut Davki B'Even Shal Bosha B'Him Yislapshas. But that's not tied to the Ein Areich of the Seivu Kol Almin. So he can't really help it. Doesn't really help you, Mamutza. How do we say that Atzilus is a Mamutza between the Ein Seif, a Seivu Kol Almin, and the Inyan of Eilemes Bia and the Nivroim Bali Gvul, how they are in Eilemes Bia. Hayinenu, says the Rebbe, the Inyan Bezeh, the Ma'ashayish Avasi Befinas Ein Areich, Hainu Shemaliyas Harotzen, She'ola be. I'm sorry, where are we? Who beginners ein areich, hainu shemaliyas harotzen she'ola bereteinoi. She oilemes, mizeh, he amitias hisavez. So the Rebbe says that the amitias hisavez, that brought everything about, or that's from the etzem fact that it occurred in the Eibishter's will, it was oila bereteinoi, that there should be oilemes. Mizeh, from that aliyah in his rotzen, from that occurrence inside his rotzen, from that was nisava immediately koha, and that's the emissary hisavas. Now, what does he mean by amitius hisavas? Because like we see in Perek Mem Ches, he talks over there about the how the oil goes down in madrega and mislabish and all the nivroim v'chuli. But then at the end, he said the emissary hisavas comes about from the save of Kalami. In other words, there are two inyonim. There's first of all the actual coming into being, mi etzem ha'ayin into the etzem ha'yesh, and that's only b'koyach ha'seiv of Kalami. Afterwards, there's ayin from a koyach which preserves and continues that process, and that's only the era. What he brings there, the Bahal Bosha, what he brings the Lashon over there, the Baal Behis Labshes, well, that's already another in, and that's already Mamala, Sokos of that shot to Mamala Kolam. Over the Etzem Yisavas, so we're going to have to see that we're dealing here with what's brought down in the Zohar Kodesh. We have to mention something in the Zohar Kodesh, it's Mamishar of Lag Ba'ima, brought down in the Zohar Kodesh that Birega Echot Nisavu Kola Ilames, ובמחשבה אחס ניסהו כל האילמס ואויד ביטויים כאלו, the Bamish just in what you might say in one flip of the finger, all of a sudden all the elements, b'kol ha'inyonim shalem, they were all there. That etzem passage from absolute ayin into yesh in the most unbelievable and massive fashion that can possibly be imagined, well, that is called aliyas rotoina, his book. That the Eivishter had an occurrence in his will that be. So by the Eivishter there's no messing around, as you might use the expression. Once that occurs in his rotzen, then automatically and miyad, all these things come about. So the Rebbe said that's what we mean. Yeah, the Isavas Hayesh is he b'pinas ein aroik, that it absolutely ein aroik and there's no kilo mamuta. Well, that's from the Aliyah Sarotzen. She'ora b'ratzoynei she'iyah ilames mizeh hi amitus Isavas. That's a genuine coming into being. And all later in Yonim from that. And later on we're going to see, like he brings, he's towards the end of this whole passage, there later becomes a union between the Seviv and the Mamali, that the Eibishter gives over the function of that Rotzen through the Mamali, so it becomes like one Sokos of one Oyer. It's not like two different Oyers which are being mashpia. Over the Inif and the Oyer Seviv always remains Muvdal wherever he is. He's there, but as it were, he's not B'his Labshes. Shazeh Inyan Masha Mavur B'chama Duktei. That is what is Mavur in many places. The Savas Hayesh Humeir Ein Seif HaSeivev Kol Almin. He says like it's Mavur, like we see in Perek Mem Ches, in this Perek that we're learning, that the actual coming about of the Yesh is Davka from the Eivishter how he Seivev Kol Almin. He's, how do you call it, what's the word? Withdrawn, completely transcendent from all the world. V'yadua the Sefer Kol Almin hu b'chinas harotzein, shu b'chinas makiv, v'kamish kosev b'mochim acher, and it's well known that Sefer Kol Almin and the Madrega of Rotzen. Now when we say Rotzen, we mean here Rotzen makiv, Rotzen ha'amiti, Rotzen ha'atzmi. They are the same, and they're the same level. And like it's moved in Derech Mitzvah in Hilchas Tzitzis, or rather Mitzvah Tzitzis, the Rebbe's Mavaya over there is quoted in many places in Siddur. We see the Inyan from Rotzen, it's a Pele Dike Hezber in Siddur, that the Inyan from Rotzen doesn't have any particular Ava, any particular limb in which it is mislabesh, the Rotzen. In other words, it's not even shy to say Ba'amiti that the Rotzen is Nimtza B'moya. Even though there are certain Lashonos in Tanya which tend to indicate that, although that's not really ultimately the Emetz Nakuda. And therefore the Inyan from Rotzen is found a Nimtza B'kol Adam. To wherever he is, Rotzoina is Kilo, Boy, Ubetoichoi, Umachifoi, say, Miroisha Viad. V'yad ragli. And one of the interesting inyonim bezeh is that we see that it's brought that when you have a rotzen to move a certain eva, or you have a rotzen to move your finger, or you have a rotzen to move your foot, or to do something, immediately that happens. There's no, how do you call it, shehiyah, it passes, it has to pass through all the different evarim and then reach that particular eva, or we're not aware of any message being sent or any form of like deliberation on the part of the whole system of a man. Now immediately he wants to do something, then unless there's some physical disability in the mensch, well, that's another mitzvah that can happen, or that's mitzvah the keli, not mitzvah the rotzen, or immediately he wants to do something, then it happens miyad ala mako. And if says the Rebbe out there, the Talmud Tzedek, that's indicatory that the Indian of rotzen is nimtza b'kol ha'odem, and it's maki for miti l'kol ha'evorim or l'kol ha'kailim, ki ilu it was nimtza ba'ezishu klid, and it would be like it were a split second of having to send some sort of a message as I state out in the mitzvah from Tzitzis, and it's brought in a famous drush from the Rebbe Nishma saying what we learned years ago in one of the years we were learning Chassidus together. We learned it, and it could be it's even on tape, Tofreish Mem Zayin, a Maim from Tofreish Mem Zayin, from the Rebbe Nishma saying.
Yeah, you see, like in a different limbs, sometimes your hands, when you talk, you don't even realize, but you move your hands, right?
Yeah.
When your feet, they don't move automatically, you have to command your feet.
Yeah.
So why
what do you mean you have to command them?
As in, like, if you're
that means you have to have a separate rotzen that your feet should move.
When you speak, automatically you move your hands. When you speak,
see, what it comes out is that the biur b'dova is that nothing happens just stam. Ein davar kazeh, that your limbs move just kiru automatically. If they move, then there's been some sort of a a command on the part of the rotzen, and then they move. So what happens is that at the time you were moving your fingers, there'd been a rotzen to move the fingers, but not to move the feet. Yeah? Or if your feet start moving, that's a sign there's been a rotzen, which has gone and told the feet to move. But it doesn't have to go anywhere; it just happens automatically. In other words, that since your rotzen is nimtza b'kol only shaila is the only question that occurs is where does rotzen get the idea? So that's the question you can ask. For rotzen, where does it get the idea? Also, it wants to move the feet. It does it immediately. Who told it to move the feet? Where did rotzen get the idea to move the feet? That's the question you're asking.
Not exactly.
Sort of. So, who told the rotzen that it should want to move the feet? That's a shame. And it's a very interesting Indian. What are you shaking your head about?
He's not understanding the Indian. He's not understanding the question that's been going on between.
You don't understand the question? You don't understand what?
Well, that's what he said.
You said you don't understand the question.
I'm not saying I do understand it.
You don't understand who told the rotzen to want to move the feet? The rotzen itself. Well, the truth of the matter is that happens to be more or less the answer. But we have to say that there's another, that's more or less the answer. There's another amazing Indian that's put down in certain places. I mean, these are important in Yonim. I once learned we once had a book in a shir in the old days, and he complained that you don't need to explain everything. Let's just keep moving it. What do you need to explain? If nobody asks it, don't bother with it. Let's just keep moving. So he once either he wrote me a letter or he called me up, and he said he was in a shul, and they asked him to say a bit of a beer and tziddus, and give over something from Torah or from the. They said, you've been, soil or something. Give over something. And he said he came due to that point, and he couldn't remember what I said. He couldn't figure out how's he going to explain this to these guys. And then he phoned me up and he said, "You're right." So what do you say to that? Anyway, so whoever will take it will take it. So where does Rotzen get the idea? So just very briefly, the Nakuda is that if you look in that Maimah in Ilkers Tzitzis, and the Rebbe says over there that he calls it Rotzen, and then he goes over to Machshava, and he calls it Machshava. Now Machshava is like a lavush, Machshava is like a lavush. It's a bikum Machshava to Ratzah. How does Machshava come to Ratzah? And yet, nonetheless, we find a lot of times in the Zohar Kodesh, Ola b'makshavtei, livra es ha'olam, Ola b'makshavtei. Was it makshavtei? L'chari, you have to have Ratzon first, wasn't it? Machshava seems to be much lower. And the far, it's brought down that Machshava and Ratzon are in many inyanim they're the same minyan. And that's what we find, that the difference, even though Machshava is a lavush, Ratzon is also a lavush, because Ratzon is that in doesn't really get anywhere, particularly in the whole makeup of our life. Therefore it's brought down, it's mavur in certain places in Tzedus, that both of them are lavush. Now, as a word, this is a lavush, mitzad greidel milas ha'etem, and this is a lavush also, which is miyuchad with the etem. Now that's what we find, that the famous statement of the Mittler Rebbe, that you can never stop thinking. You've heard about that. There's no such thing as you ever stopping thinking. And if you say, I'm not thinking now, then you're thinking about the fact that you're not thinking. Well, there's no such thing that you can actually stop thinking. Says the Mittler Rebbe for worse, because even though the Machshava is a lavush, but it's a lavush amu'uchad ima nefesh. And Pete to see with the etzem chayes, so the nefesh must always be, then Machshava must always be. And so great is the yichud at the Machshava with the nefesh, that it's like the inyan of skin. Just like skin is a lavush to your basar, over there one and the same thing, and you can't, God forbid, part the skin from the basar. It's ad kedikach a yichud atzmi, in the same way, isn't it? In the same way, the inyan from Machshava is miyuchad, betach is a yichud with the nefesh. And when we say nefesh, then it's one on that nefesh and Ratzon are on the same inyan. And afar there's an amazing inyan, what the immediate inyan of Ratzon, what we call Ratzon, or that's the correct to actually begoize that this is going to happen. Or miyuchad with Ratzon. And kilo, another yeda of the Ratzon, there's a sense and a feeling and an awareness of what you really want to do. And that's what the Rebbe said here. First of all, he said there was a inyan and Yishavis, and there was a kavanah. He moved in the same sentence from the Yishavis to the kavanah. In other words, in the immediate makif, the immediate harotzen, there's also a machshava. A kavanah by the men sheicha say. A tafka where he's got this unbelievable koya to be goizer that everything should be done. That's already the gezerah. That already says this is what's going to be done. But where did he get the idea? He gets that in the makif gufa. He gets that to the sense. That's in the makif of the Ratzon, which is called Machshava, which senses what he ultimately is good for him, or what he wants to do, and that's got a certain kesher with the inyan ha'oinig, a certain inyan from Tainuk. We'll say kind of walking in a hurry. Okay guys, come in. Everybody come in, please. Everybody come in. You can all just stand around.
So you stand there.
You sit down, stand, whatever